On this week's news, Hamilton rues his high-profile mistake, while Alonso got political at Alpine. You can now watch full 24-minute episodes of The Inside Line at our official home on unbeaten.com. Seven-time F1 world champion Sir Lewis Hamilton has put his hands up for his lap 1 clash in Belgium with Fernando Alonso, following which the two-time F1 world champion claimed his former teammate was an idiot who can only drive and start in first. It's better that it's out in the open how he feels. And like I said, it wasn't intentional, and I take responsibility for it. That's what adults do, Hamilton said. Staying with Alonso, who admitted in Belgium that he told all at Alpine but team principal Otmar Szafnauer of his 2023 Aston Martin switch before the announcement, including his mechanics and engineers, with his direct boss strangely not part of the negotiations. Alonso kicked off the summer break with bombshell news he'd signed for F1's ambitious Green Team, a move that he said made sense, with Alpine talks stalled for months, forcing him to question their trust in him. While Aston Martin showed real interest in his talent, in effect sealing the deal. But in the aftermath, Alonso puzzlingly left Szafnauer out of the loop, ensuring he found out via press release. Otmar was not involved in the negotiations, and yes, probably, Laurent or Luca didn't call him before the announcement, and he was surprised by that, he said. Alonso also refuted claims he worked with manager Flavio Briatore and friend Mark Webber to ensure Piastri went to McLaren. Belgium's Spa-Francorchamps circuit has been given a stay of execution in the sport, with a one-year deal extension for it to again host F1 in 2023. The iconic venue was set to fall off the calendar following this year's race, given its limited crowd capacity and access difficulties. But it's understood uncertainty around other returning hosts like China and South Africa gave rise for its eventual extension. Spa's long-term future in F1, though, remains in question, despite significant investment. Belgium was not short on announcements, with Audi confirming the worst-kept secret that it will join F1 from 2026 as a power unit supplier, though its chassis partner deal, expected to be Sauber, that will transform it into a work squad, is yet to be confirmed. Audi has a long history in motorsport, dating back to its pre-war activities as Auto Union, through Le Mans, Dakar, DTM and Formula E programs, with its return to F1 based on the new regulations.
F1 did change the rules in a way that we can enter with a very high electric part of the powertrain with renewable fuels, and Formula One have installed a cost cap that makes it very attractive for us to enter now.
Audi, which aims to become a full electric car manufacturer, began work on its F1 power unit in March and already has 100 people on the project, with plans to triple that number at its Neuburg and Donau base. Alfa Romeo has already announced it will split with Sauber at the end of 2023, which would enable a Swiss squad buyout. Young gun Oscar Piastri's fate will be sealed this week, with F1's Contracts Recognition Board convening on Monday to determine whether his Alpine or McLaren deal will prevail for his 2023 Grand Prix debut. The Australian, who is yet to even take part in an F1 practice session, is at the center of a heated tug-of-war between the two British-based teams for his services, with the precocious Piastri allegedly signing for McLaren on the basis that his Alpine deal was not watertight. The Sports Contracts Recognition Board, which presides over F1 driver deals, is made up of a selection of lawyers, and its decisions are binding, though it's more likely a starting point for financial negotiations. Piastri was on simulator duties for Alpine during the Belgian Grand Prix weekend as the squad's reserve driver. The run-up to the Belgian Grand Prix was again a significant moment for Daniel Ricciardo, with the inevitable announcement that the 33-year-old and McLaren had agreed to part at the end of 2022, their 3-year deal ending after 2 due to underperformance. The Australian was raw in his post-announcement video on social media, stating the news was not great and bittersweet, but said it was the right thing to do, despite his success at Monza last year.
2022 will be my last year with McLaren. Just obviously we put in a lot of effort on both sides, but just hasn't worked the way we wanted. So the team's decided to make a change for next year.
Ricciardo has been soundly beaten by McLaren teammate Lando Norris in qualifying, 5-23 since 2021, 2-12 in 2022, with 57 points between them after Belgium. But while an IndyCar drive for 2023 was put on the table as an alternative, the 33-year-old wants to remain in F1. With his former team Alpine and Haas looking like the main options.
The sport, I still love it. I still love it. This hasn't affected any of that. I still have that fire in me, that belief in my belly that I can do this at the highest level.
McLaren driver Lando Norris has paid homage to his soon-to-be outgoing teammate Daniel Ricciardo, with the Brit simply stating everyone knows how good he is and what he can achieve. Ricciardo will leave the Papaya squad at the end of the season, 1 year short on his contract, after both parties mutually agreed to part ways. But Norris, in a chat with official F1 podcast Beyond the Grid, says his speed and success speaks for itself.
I think he's proven it in his career, how quick he is, what he achieved when joining Red Bull. The wins he did, he never won a boring race, I don't think. He always won an exciting one, did it in style. He proved many times, in Monaco, when he had to deliver in qualifying and stuff like that, he could do exactly that.
Ricciardo's downfall ultimately lay in him failing to adapt to the McLaren's limited front end, with the car requiring a counterintuitive driving style. But Norris says the MCL 36's traits are not what he would like either.
It's far from a car that I would want in an ideal world and say, if I wanted to go out and do the best lap possible and give me that car to do so, it's definitely not the car that I have now.
Red Bull were in scintillating form in Belgium, with Max Verstappen notching up his 9th win from 14 races. But the Dutchman arrived at the Ardennes in style, following the energy drinks brand's latest film that took him from the simulator to real life in the blink of an eye. And it was an explosive start, with Verstappen dodging rocks in an open-cut mine, then catching up with Tour de France sensation Wout van Aert after an unorthodox double-stacked pit stop. The Dutchman went on to race Belgian motorsport stars Thierry Neuville and Guillaume de Mévius on an undulating course, before departing for Spa-Francorchamps via a helicopter-illuminated night drive, lighting the way to a local nightclub, which capped off the lead-in to the 23-year-old's favorite race of the year, an event that will remain on the calendar in 2023 after it was given a 1-year extension.
I always enjoy going to Spa. It's my favorite track on the calendar. Of course, I'm born in Belgium, and it's very close to the Dutch border, so there are always a lot of fans to support me as well. So all in all, it's always a very special weekend for me.
American super squad Andretti Autosport is no closer to an F1 entry, with CEO Stefano Domenicali reiterating the pinnacle of motorsport does not need new teams, though stated that having the loudest voice won't help their campaign to join the grid. Andretti owner Michael Andretti is seeking to create his own team in the sport after his efforts to buy the Alfa Romeo branded Sauber fell through last year, with his application now long submitted to F1. But while the 10 teams wouldn't welcome another, given an 11th would ensure one misses out on prize money, Andretti and his father, 1978 F1 world champion Mario, have been critical of Sauber, the process, sport, and opposing factions. A move that hasn't won them friends. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.